this meeting to order. The May 13th, 2021 meeting of the Albany Utility Board. If we could begin by calling the roll. Dr. Adams?
Present.
Ms. Battle?
Here.
Mr. Deal?
Here.
Mr. Lowe?
Here.
Mayor's here. Any opening remarks? Dr. Adams?
None.
Ms. Battle?
None.
Mr. Deal?
None.
Mr. Lowe?
None.
The first item on the agenda for consideration is approval of the minutes as presented. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
If so, the chair would entertain a motion to approve
So
the
moved.
minutes as presented.
So
Motion,
moved.
is there a second? Motion and a second. Any discussion? Dr. Adams?
None.
Ms. Battle?
None.
Mr. Deal?
No, other than I'd like to compliment Bernestra for doing such a good job on the minutes. She doesn't seem to miss a thing.
That will be noted. Mr. Lowe?
Nothing.
Okay, with that, we'll roll call vote. Dr. Adams?
Here.
Ms. Battle?
Here.
Oh, we're calling to approve the minutes.
Yeah, this isn't roll call.
Ms. Battle?
Yes.
Mr. Deal?
Yes.
Mr. Lowe?
Yes.
Mayor votes yes. The next item on the agenda is proposal to recommend for City Commission approval the purchase of fiber distribution equipment from Gray Bar of Rock Hill, South Carolina for the telecom department for a total expenditure of $108,327.38. And Ms. Fields, Mr. Dawson, and Ms. French.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Fields.
Good morning, Ms. Fields.
This item is a kind of a hybrid thing. It is for fiber distribution equipment for the move from 207 Pine to the Pace Building. All of that is understood. What is not totally clear is whether or not it needs approval from this board and the City Commission. It is a SPLOST purchase, and there is a longstanding practice of all SPLOST purchases going through the City Commission, but they also gave you authority up to $200,000. So perhaps Nathan can let us know which direction this needs to go in.
I think the question on the table is, since this is a purchase.
Yeah, I think, can that hear me? My suggestion is that it would go to the City Commission and we would do a formal resolution, do that as a courtesy to finance to, so they'll have a written document showing the expenditure of SPLOST funds. So even though it's within your authority, I would suggest not only approval from this board, but going to the Mayor and Board of Commissioners. Thank you.
Okay, given that, I trust that I know that it has been talked about doing some kind of written procedure about what this board approves versus what goes to City Commission. I'm hoping that'll come forward soon so staff won't be confused. Anyway, that's just my editorial for the morning. Recommend contracting with Gray Bar of Rock Hill, South Carolina for fiber distribution equipment for a total expenditure of $108,327.38.
And Mr. Dawson and Ms. French, could y'all tell us what this equipment does, what the purpose of it is?
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Fields, fellow board members, and Mr. City Manager. Stated in your agenda package, this is a purchase for fiber distribution equipment that will be installed in the Pace Building to facilitate our move from 207 Pine to the PACE building at 211 North Jefferson. This equipment is a critical component for the phase 2 of the PACE building integration. This solution is designed with functionality, quality, and cable management in mind, so our telecom division can continue to support both our internal and our external customers. It is in line with our current equipment standards that we currently use in our data centers and our telecommunications hub today. We have not prepared a presentation. However, Ms. French, Mr. Walton, and myself are available to answer any questions. Basically, what this equipment does is it breaks out the fiber that comes into the building and distributes it both inside of our telecommunications hut, also provides racks for cable management, and it breaks up these individual connections for the fiber to be able to connect into the electronic equipment, such as our switches and our GPON equipment, which serve our internal and our external customers.
Awesome. Any questions to any of the presenters? Dr. Adams?
I do have a question. Are there any other expenses that we should anticipate so we can have a good idea as to approximately how much this move is going to cost us? This is $100,000, which I can agree with and I understand why it's necessary, but I do wonder, are there any more $100,000 or so that we need to spend for this transition?
From the telecom or the IT side, I do not believe there are any more items that are over the $100,000 threshold that will come before you for this project.
Maybe Mr. Carter could answer that question a little bit better than.
Yeah.
Right.
Dr. Adams, this is, can you guys hear me first of all? I want to make sure everybody can hear.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. This is a portion of a larger project. There were 2 phases to this project. The first one was the clinic, which has recently opened. Matter of fact, we're having the ribbon cutting for that event on Tuesday at 1:30. However, this purchase is just the initial purchase of kind of launching that second phase. There are several construction pieces that has to happen. We have to do some roofing. The parking lot has to be done. There's several other electrical as well as constructional items that are coming before this board or the city commission as we're getting ready to spend those dollars. I think the final budget for that particular project was, and help me out with this, Ms. Phil, I think it was like $3 million, if I'm not mistaken, but that was for the entire project, not just the data center piece.
Now, will this money come out of the capital improvement or splash funds or where?
Those are splash dollars.
All these are splash dollars.
There are some other budgets, but the bulk of it is splash dollars.
Most of it is splash dollars.
Yes,
okay.
sir. And the money has already been budgeted for this project.
Okay, then. Thank you. Just to clarify this in my mind.
Ms. Battle?
No questions.
Dale?
No, I don't have anything.
Ms. Logue?
Just a couple of things. Ms. Fields, thank you for answering the question. That was the one question that I had. I was curious about the limit and wanted to make sure that I wasn't confused. So it's good to know that any SPLOST dollars need to go to the city commission. And then the other thing, Mr. Carter, I understand that we're actually going to be standing up this data center so that it will run concurrently with the old until it's time to switch over. Is that still the plan?
Yes, sir. It has to be the plan. We don't have an opportunity to do a just plain cutover. Otherwise, our customers as well as the city will be down for that period of time. So we have to have current data centers at one time.
Exactly. And actually, that's why I asked the question. I wanted you to let everybody know that that we're doing it so that no customer is without service at any time.
Absolutely.
And where does this put us with respect to completion of the project? How much farther along are we? Just stay.
Actually, The clinic portion of the project is almost complete. I think there's just some cosmetic things left on that portion of it. That's what we call phase one of the project. And again, the ribbon cutting for that will be on Tuesday afternoon. This is the beginning of phase two, and we're really at the kind of very beginning of that. I'm anticipating, if I had to put a percentage on it, we're probably only about 20% done with the second phase of that project.
Perfect. That was what I was wondering. Okay. Thank you. That's all, Mayor.
If I could ask Mr. Carter, I think it'd be beneficial for the utility board and also for the city commission if we could get a budget and a schedule for the entire project.
Yes, sir.
Sometime, so that we understand the different components and where we are. I think that would help us all out.
Absolutely. We have that already prepared, and we can just share it with you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Can I ask a question, please?
Well, first, I think we need to entertain a motion now that we've had discussion.
I move that we accept the proposal.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, now questions, Dr. Adams? Ms. Battle, now.
Well, the public wants clarification as to whether or not this covers utilities only, or is it a combination of the utilities and city usage of IT?
This particular project is not just utilities. Utilities are the one who providing service, but that service is provided not just to utilities, but to the rest of the city, the county, and all of our commercial and residential customers.
So there was some background noise in the last part, Mr. Carter.
This particular project is the utility is providing the service. However, the service that the utility provides is to the city, county, our commercial, and our residential customers.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Ms. Battle?
No.
Mr. Deal, any questions?
No, I appreciate you asking Stephen for a timeline and cost on this project. I think that'd be beneficial to all of us.
Thank you.
Mr. Loeb?
No more questions.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Discussion. We'll call the question. Dr. Adams?
Yes.
Battle?
Yes.
Mr. Deal?
Yes.
Mr. Loeb?
Yes.
Mayor votes yes. And the next item on the agenda calls for approval of the repair. Is that correct, Mr. Hughes, Ms. Fields? Of 3 influent bar screens.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Will Mr. Hughes be speaking to this, or will Ms. Fields be speaking to this, or both?
I can speak about the estimated expenditure and how we got here, but Mr. Hughes can tell you why we need it. So
Okay.
we have gotten quotes, and the estimated expenditure to repair these 3 influent bar screens is $133,936.24. We are comfortable with the quote as it is, and I'll let Mr. Hughes continue with any background information he has.
Okay. Can we get Mr. Hughes on the screen, or does he need to sit where I'm sitting? Cody?
Yeah, they can just hear him from where he's at.
Why don't you sit right here, Jeff, so I can see you.
All right.
excuse me, I got some bad information from staff there. That's why our delay was. So, Mr. Hughes, if you would, can you begin by explaining what an influent bar screen is and does?
Yes, sir. This is at the wastewater treatment plant down at Joshua Street. The influent screens, basically all the wastewater coming into the plant goes through basically a series of grates, the vertical bars. They got 4-inch openings. It catches all the large debris and everything like bottles, cans, leaves, sticks that the biological process cannot break down, and it's not efficient to do so. These screens, again, screen all the wastewater, take out the large debris. The rakes, there's got a series of rakes on 2 parallel chains that run vertically that clean the screens periodically depending on how much flow is going through it and how much debris is in there. And that debris is raked up to top, deposited on a conveyor belt and into a dumpster and taken to the landfill for disposal. As it says in the agenda item, these were put in about 14 years ago. We haven't done anything major to them other than, greasing and that kind of thing. The chains on the screens have stretched over time, and they do have adjustment, but they've got to the point where they're stretched beyond adjustment, and also there's one on each side, and they've not stretched evenly. So it's kind of like a bicycle chain. Every once in a while, when you get it stretched out too far, you have to replace it. Unfortunately, these are a little bit more expensive than bicycle chains. The chains themselves are the bulk of the quote, about $89,000, and the rest of it is some miscellaneous parts, some active bars for the screen, a couple of rakes with the teeth have broken off that go between the bars, and some sprockets down at the bottom, the bearings.
Mr. Hughes, can you tell us approximately how many of these screens, influent bar screens, are at the wastewater treatment?
There are 3.
Okay, so we're talking about the only 3 we have?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good news. Any questions for the presenters? Dr. Adams?
Not a question, it's a compliment. If the duration here has been 14 years, I think that's pretty good since the last replacement. But I guess the question would be, do we kind of put a replacement schedule, or do we just wait until it wears out, those screens wear out, so to speak?
Basically, we monitor the operation, and as we get to the point where we need to make these repairs, we'll do it. But we should be good for another 10, 15 years after this repair, other than normal maintenance and greasing.
That answers my question. Thank you.
Ms. Battle?
Good morning, Mr. Hughes. I know that in Albany, we try to make things last for a very long time. What does the manufacturer say the actual life expectancy is for these bar screens?
Not sure I have that information per se, but they recommend that you check it annually and check the differences, and over time, a couple of the smaller items like the bar screens and put debris down the channel. If you get a heavy chunk of concrete or something, it could bend the bar, and that's why we're replacing a couple of the bars. On occasion, if the bars get misaligned, you could break off some teeth on the rakes, and that will, it depends on what comes down the channel. But I believe the 10 to 15 year time frame is a reasonable estimate.
No further.
Anything else, Ms. Battle?
None.
Mr. Deal?
None.
Ms. Loeb?
A couple of things. Morning, Mr. Hughes. Will our separating the storm water from our wastewater make a difference on how much usage these screens actually get, I'm hoping that it's going to make a difference, and they won't be there won't be as many large items coming in once we've actually separated everything. Or am I not thinking correctly?
The separation that we're doing will help. Even with the $105 million project, we're still going to have some combined sewer. So it's not going to eliminate everything.
Right.
We're going to eliminate a good chunk of it, but it won't eliminate everything.
Right. I knew that we were going to that there was a hefty percentage that we needed to separate within 5 years. Okay, well, that's good to know. The other thing is this coming out of the capital budget, just out of the sewer fund? Did we budget in anticipation of something like this occurring?
Yeah, it'll be coming out of the sewer maintenance budget. We've got about $500,000 a year allocated for the wastewater plant maintenance, and it'll come.
Okay, will this cause that budget to be impacted? Will it stress it or strain it, or are we sufficiently covered within that $500,000?
We're going to be close. We've got some funds. We might have to transfer some funds at the end of the year to get everything that we should be within the overall budget.
Okay, very good.
Between account line.
Right. That's all, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Hughes.
Yes, Mr. Hughes, piggybacking on Ms. Battle's question, is there any warranty that comes with the screens?
There was an original warranty. I can't remember if it was 1 year or 3 to 5 years, but we're well beyond that.
No, I mean with the screens we're buying.
Replacement
Okay,
parts.
yes.
I don't know that there is I haven't seen a warranty. I would assume we would have at least 90 days to a year. But these are parts that, again, have lasted for the most part close to 15 years.
Okay.
So I don't anticipate any problems.
But there's no 5 or 7 year warranty or?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. All right. And Ms. Fields, how many, usually in the agenda item, it tells you how many bids were solicited and how many bids were received.
Well, yeah, but that's normally when we do a bid. This
okay.
was
So this single source.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that means this company manufactures the bar screens that go with our specific treatment plant?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Hughes. The chair would entertain a motion to recommend approval of the purchase of 3 Influent bar screens for an amount of $133,936.24.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Who made the motion?
Logue.
Okay, Mr. Deal seconded. Okay. Any discussion? Dr. Adams? Ms. Battle?
None.
Mr. Deal?
None.
Mr. Logue?
Nope, nothing further.
Okay. With that, we'll call for the vote. Dr. Adams?
Yes.
Ms. Battle?
Yes.
Mr. Deal?
Yes.
Logue?
Yes.
Mayor votes yes. The next item on the agenda is a request for a resolution which would authorize the city manager and assistant city manager to communicate with MEAG Power any decisions made by the city regarding the municipal competitive trust. And it appears that the resolution on file authorizes Ms. Subadan and Stephen Collier, both of who are no longer employed by the city. So with that, an explanation, Mr. Carter.
That is the explanation. We have a current resolution and signatory in place that identifies 2 members of our city who are no longer employed with the city. What we're asking is to replace those 2 names with myself and Mr. Ken Stock. so that we have 2 employees that's currently employed by the city authorized to transfer or act in your stead on any decisions made by this or the city commission with MEAG. So we're asking you to approve the changing of those 2 signatures.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Carter? Dr. Adams, I'll leave it open. I'll be loud.
No question. We can expedite this by making a motion at this point. I'd like to move that we go ahead and take this action at this point.
Okay. Is there a second, or do we want to go around for questions to the presenter?
Second.
There was a second?
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Adams, motion. Ms. Battle made a second. Okay, now, any questions? Dr. Adams?
None.
Ms. Battle?
None.
Mr. Deal?
None.
Ms. Lowe?
I see that within the trust, it talks about deposits to the trust or withdrawals from. At what points, what would require us to make a deposit to the trust?
Well, unfortunately, since my time around, we haven't had to do that, but I would assume if there was a problem where funds were short, there would not be, again, anything that would be required of myself or Mr. Stocks that would not come before this board first. So you would have the right of approval or denial of anything that we do before we exercise anything with MEAG. I can tell you that there's a check that the city will receive once we have the authority to do this with MEAG.
Right. I understand this is probably where the settlements come from.
Right.
And I know that we benefited in the past when we received a large chunk that was distributed within the city. I was just curious. Thank you, Mr. Carter.
You're welcome.
Okay, the Municipal Competitive Trust, is that the roughly $68 million we received for payments?
Whatever credits against the MEAG bill, they called them credits instead of money, but that's what it represented. Right. And I think it was closer to somewhere in the 70s. Derek Brown, when what was thought to be the final money came in, sent out a very nice recap sheet, I think showing about 72 million, and then it showed a balance of about 20. But this is a good housekeeping thing in case something else comes up. Ms. Carter's right, there needs to be a signatory. But I think the bulk of the money has already been received.
Yeah, that is what we're talking about now is not that original amount. This is just ongoing business that, any transaction that need to happen just as a result of ongoing business. Okay.
And showing my ignorance, the credits, I thought the way this was accounted was that the city, instead of making a payment, we withheld the money from MEAG and it was transferred into the account. Is that not?
Well, yes, so that's pretty good. It was all done electronically and so the monthly bill would come, in plain speak, the monthly bill would come in from MEAG for the number of kilowatt hours type thing. And then the payment that MEAG would ask for would be less than you were actually being billed. So that's how you just kept the money in your
the difference was transferred to the account, which is where the remaining $20 million.
That's right. And then there was a resolution authorizing the MEAG credits to be, in plain speak, chopped into 3 pieces. Right. Back then, WG&L had their own computer finance system, et cetera. So they, in effect, kept a third of the money. They sent a third to the city, and then another third went into the long-term investment fund. And again, Mr. Derek Brown has broken that down in a memo he sent out a couple of years ago. But I guess electronically, that's the way things go now. They don't write checks anymore. So it was the same thing as receiving a check from MEAG because the amount of the bill was not what y'all's funds were, and that difference is what went into creating the million. Yeah.
Well, what would the ongoing issues be, Mr. Carter, with the competitive trust?
Well, like I said, right now there's I think is it a dividend disbursement that is waiting for us to execute right now. But that's really the only thing that I can think of that is in that trust type thing. Now, don't get this confused with we're renegotiated contract. That this doesn't apply to any of that. Okay, this is just so that if you say, hey, we want X with MEAG, or MEAG says, hey, we want X with the city, we'll be the ones carrying that message back and forth between the two.
Okay. How much is the dividend?
Do you remember off the top of your head?
No.
I don't, but I can get that number for you.
I mean, approximately.
I have to raise a point. I have to raise a point of order, please.
Yes, sir.
My point of order is that I thought we were only discussing changing the signatures on this document. And my motion was to bypass the discussion that we're having and just merely approve to replace the two signatures. Am I correct or am I incorrect?
Okay. I won't ask any questions.
Call the question.
Sir?
I said, I'd like to call the question, if I may.
Okay. All right. Dr. Adams.
Yes, sir.
Is that your vote? We'll call the roll call vote. Yes, sir.
And that's
Dr.
the change of two. That's the two signatures on the document. Is that correct?
Yes, that's your motion, isn't it?
Okay. Yes.
Ms. Battle.
Yes.
Mr. Deal.
Yes.
Slow.
Yes.
Mayor votes yes. Okay, other matters to come before the utility board. Dr. Adams. None? Ms. Battle.
None.
Mr. Deal.
I do have one question, Mayor.
Yep.
Back in November, we discussed the K-Stamp management delinquent account. I don't know that we've had an update on that as to what we did, and have we gotten any of that money that was outstanding?
You want me to reply to that?
Yes.
Yes, sir. We've been in constant contact with K-Stamps, but they have changed their management company. They're no longer K-Stamps, and they've changed the group that's managing that process. However, back in November, I think we started at a little over $180,000, if I'm not mistaken, and they have been making payments. And in the last report that I got, I'm pulling it up now, and I give you the amount of that one, but it is closer to like 120,000 right now.
So are they paying monthly on this, Stephen?
They're paying as prompted. One of the problems that I have with it is we kind of lost contact with them as they were moving from one company to another. And it took a little while to get back in touch with them and get that process rolling again. But within the last month, I think they've made about a $50,000 payment on that. So we're trending in the right direction. It's just a slow process.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Logue, other matters.
Yes, please, Mr. Carter, continue pursuing K-Stamps. Don't let them try to lose you.
Absolutely.
With a legal trail and making, different moves with the management company and things of that nature. And one thing I would like to do is revisit the discussion Dr. Adams didn't want to have about MEAG and the trust. I think that one point you were asking, Mayor, about the dollar amount of the dividend, if you will. I think what we're talking about is the settlement that we get at the end of each fiscal year from MEAG. Because MEAG works on a budget, then the bill that we get is reflective of that budget typically during the year. And at the end of the year, as budgets, and all during the year, the budget is adjusted at MEAG. So if costs are actually lower than what has been anticipated, they begin lowering our bills, things of that nature. But at the end of the year, there is a final settlement to determine whether, what the budget versus actual costs were. And so any amount that we have overpaid then is returned to us in that settlement. Because of the pandemic last year, I anticipate that this settlement will not be as large as it has been in the past, because there were many actions taken on our behalf and on MEAG's behalf to make it easier on us, so we can make it easier on our customers as the year went along. But just wanted that explanation out there, and I do think that it's important that all of us understand the business that we're trying to run. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, if we could get the amount of that dividend, Mr. Carter, that definitely will. That was my question. I was going to bring that up. Other business items for future agenda. Is Dr. Adams with us? Or is he offline? Okay. Ms. Battle?
None.
Mr. Deal?
None.
Mr. Lowe?
None.
Okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 items. If we can put this down. First thing, when Mr. Hughes was talking, no, not the first thing, it's actually the last thing that came to mind. When Mr. Hughes was talking, I was thinking very few citizens understand what the wastewater treatment plant is and does. I think it might be beneficial if we could get a video and show it on Channel 16 of the plant. I think it's very important, since we're about to undertake this big expenditure, the separation project, so that the public generally has a better understanding. I don't know what it would cost to do instructional video, but I would certainly like us to look at it. That option, because when people's bills start going up, they're going to have questions, and I think we need to be more proactive about this.
Okay.
The second thing is, it came up, Ms. Fields made the point that in the last few years, the process has been any expenditure that comes out of SPLOST funds goes before the city commission. I understand the reason for that, but I think there's a lot of gray area between what the role of the utility board is in the city commission. It actually came up at a recent city commission meeting. One of my colleagues felt like anything that had to do with MEAG should come to the city commission. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do think we ought to have a more definitive delineation of what the role of the utility board is, and particularly in conjunction with matters that everything you do here impacts the city. And so, I think this board, as I pointed out, sets rates. That's one of the most important things. When I was on the commission before, and historically, Water, Gas, and Light had their own billing system, their own pay scale, their own accounts. It was essentially a independent entity, even though it's always a department of the city. And I think we need some clarification. If we could work toward that, it's not something we need in 30 or 60 days, but I think it would help us, help the city commission, and help the citizens. The third thing is, Mr. Stock was kind enough to retrieve the agreements with SEPA and the city of Griffin. His recommendation was we not opt out. In my opinion, I think one of those agreements, we had a 25-month notice. The other, I did not see what even the term of it was. I'll go back and look at it. But what I would ask is that staff retrieve the minutes from the meetings during which these two contracts were discussed, so we have an idea of why we entered into these additional contracts. And I'm not convinced that we shouldn't opt out of one or both of them. So I'd like to see that, and because if we are long on power and we have the option to get out of these two contracts, we certainly need to consider that. And finally, during the recent rain event, what was, Ken, 5 inches throughout most of town? All right. The catch basin in front of our home, it doesn't take long. It rains 2 or more inches and the water's going to be out in the street. And, you know, after the following week, I went and looked at the catch basin and saw what I already knew, and that is several inches, maybe even more than a foot of that catch basin is full of dirt and debris. I think my inclination was to call downtown and see if somebody would clean out my catch basin, but that really wouldn't be fair to the other 75,000 residents of the city of Albany. I think it was established before that at some time in the past, the routine maintenance of catch basins was discontinued. I think I've been advised that there is some schedule for street sweepers, but I would like that to be on the agenda. And if we need to raise rates to make sure every catch basin in this city is cleaned out with the, what is it, Mr. Hughes, the jet vac? Is that once a year? That needs to be done. But I doubt the catch basins in front of my home. We could get the work orders, I guess. Are they available, Mr. Hughes? Yes. Okay. I doubt the catch basins in front of my home have been cleaned out twice in 20 years. So this is something we need to do. And if the maintenance was discontinued as a cost-cutting measure, I don't think that was a very prudent decision, because in retrospect, I mean, I think some of the failures of our lift stations are due. One cause is the increased debris and vegetation, which is built up inside the stormwater system as a result of the failure to maintain the catch basins. And I will say again, under this proposal we have, going forward, a lot of this $300 million is actually maintenance, increased maintenance expense. So again, but I'd like to see that. And
can I ask a question on that?
Yes, sir.
You're asking us to propose what it would take to revamp that maintenance schedule, and if there's any cost involved, so that you can make a decision on what we're going to do to go forward. Is that
there's definitely going to be a cost involved, and if I'm correct, some of this maintenance was discontinued or reduced in frequency when Mr. Berry was the interim city manager as a cost. Is that correct, Mr. Hughes? Okay. Well, we'll find that out. And you know, there's definitely going to be. I mean, I remember early on in my term, Ms. Lubidan said we're talking about over $1 million to, I think, have the street sweeper in every neighborhood in town twice a year. But we can find that out.
Take a look.
Yes,
and bring your number back.
Any other comments in view of what the chair, statements made by the chair? Ms. Battle?
None.
Mr. Deal?
None.
Ms. Lowe?
I think those are all valid points that you brought up, and I look forward to discussing them.
Okay. Well, with that,
can I make one thing before?
Yes, sir, Mr. Carter.
It's Mr. Deal's birthday, and just wanted to wish him a happy birthday before we disperse.
Well, thank you very much, Stephen. I'm 53 today. I just look much older.
Lightning's gonna hit.
Yeah.
We don't have to sing happy birthday to Mr. Deal, do we?
I'll let you do that, man.
No. Hey, Stephen, you planned the full agenda for my birthday this morning, this afternoon.
Yeah.
We'll just take Jim to Applebee's for the happy birthday.
There you
go. Well, good. Thank y'all.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
With that, we stand adjourned. I want to thank you for your attendance, participation, and service.
All right. Have a good day, guys.
Y'all